Sound check 1 2.
Everyone. So, on that question, I'm very hesitant about giving the operators, putting a number to it, because what we have seen so far and what we intend to do, I don't think we have enough data to be able to come up with an exact number with regards to that. So I don't want us to think, okay, if I give the operators seven, or if I give them 7 or 8, and they will now go home and rest on their oars. No, I want a situation where we want to look at it from the perspective that it is not yet Uhuru for us. So on that note, I believe we should still task ourselves and then not just think that we're going to put a pat on our back and believe that the operators are actually doing well or they are not doing well. There are so many issues. Yesterday, while we were here, they read out a lot of, or rather, they reeled out a lot of challenges. And when you look at those challenges and table those challenges, how dare you say the operators are doing good or they are doing enough? So I believe we just have to task ourselves to be able to know that what we have on ground And I don't know if we're going to go around for another questioning. And I believe that when we get to that, we can all tackle the issues at hand. So on that note, I just plead the fifth when it comes to the numbers to give to operators. Thank you. Honorable.
Thank you very much. And as you can imagine, as our regulator, she's in the best position to score. And she has decided to plead the fifth. And I'll go to the other extreme. I can't score myself back. So I'm scoring myself a 10.
Right, so we've seen there and heard the answers. From NCDMB point of view, if I can put that into number, it seems like it's quite small. It's
Neither here nor
yeah. Does anybody, do you think it's 5? 1? Close to 1. Okay.
I heard 12. You know, I have selective hearing. I heard 12.
Okay. So, on a lighter note, it's not INEX scoring, but it's a real deal. So, but like I said earlier, it's a bit of an uncomfortable situation, as a matter of fact. But like I said, it has to be asked and answers has to be given. So the first question I'm going to have to be asking today, I'll start with my gentleman, Dr. Martins Okoro. All right. So we have thousands of people who attend several trainings and courses, different certificates issued all over everywhere. And at what point does this training become genuine human capacity development rather than simply certificate exercise? And are we training people to pass exams, or are we genuinely building capacity, developing people who can solve problems and perform independently? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So many people believe in certification, but if we must go from just certification to closing the gaps in the industry, we should be talking about performance. We should be able to go from classroom to practice, practice to value addition, and value addition to a game changer in the industry. You can send someone for training, and when he's back, you cannot see any value addition, but he has a lot of certificates. So what I will say is that for your training to be effective, you must go from certification, gaining knowledge, to competency, competency to performance, performance to sustain capacity. And sorry that I did not introduce myself. That is what we do in Welfare Services, West Services Training Academy. We train people, we take them to our facility for practical experience, hands-on, and after that, we have a common group that all of them join for mentorship. My school has been running for 10 years, and for these 10 years, we have a pool of experienced people under the same platform. So wherever you are working in the world, if you have a challenge, just drop the challenge there. Within some few minutes, they will tell you what to do. And I'm watching the platform. So if any of them cannot give answer, then I can put my 35 years of experience to tell them what to do. So we believe in performance, follow-up, mentorship, and not only that, make sure that you add value to your organization when you leave our training facility. So I will tell you, not just certification, value addition is the key. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okoro. And my next question will be for Simon Ogari. Simon, from operator's perspective, how does CEPLAT define successful HCD? Is the objective primarily compliance with NCD requirements, or is HCD now being viewed as a strategic business investment? And how do you measure the return on that investment?
Thank you very much for this question. CEPLAT, as a company, we look at HCD to be something that we go above compliance. And because we look at it from that angle where we view compliance as just a baseline for the sake of fulfilling certain requirements, looking at the framework, and also ensure that minimum expectations are met. So we look at it and we go beyond compliance, and what we look at as the real success as far as HCD is concerned is to see that those people we have developed acquire the right skill, have the right competence, and the leadership capability to perform their job at international standard. And also not just only performing their job at international standard, we also look at them also creating value, creating sustainable value for the business, which is CEPLAT, and also the oil and gas industry. Now, what we have is that we have classified sources or dimension sources into three categories. We have the first one, compliance. Don't get me wrong, because compliance is key. I'm not saying that compliance is not important. Compliance is very, very important. But what we are saying is that compliance alone cannot give us the success that we are looking for. So we comply with the provisions of the Nordic Act, and we ensure that we met all the frameworks as regards to human capital development. Then we move from there, we go to capability. Capability is very, very important because we want to see that the people that we have trained, they have acquired the right competence, the right skills, and also we ask ourselves a very fundamental question: all the skills that they have acquired, have they actually applied them? If they have not applied them, then we know that we'll need to go through the system again to think and evaluate why those skills have not been deployed. But if they have been deployed, we take it as a success for us. Then the last one among the classification of sources that we have is the business value. Business value is very, very crucial because the business is very important to us as a company. We want to see that the people that we have trained, the people that have passed through this leadership skills, experience, acquired digital skills, managerial experience, that they add value to our operation. They contribute to our operation performance, HSC. They also contribute in ensuring that the company remains competitive. And not just being only competitive, we also look at operation excellence as well. Then, from there, we move on. Since we have gotten this classification and all that, we now come in to look at, is HCD a regulatory cost or an investment, a strategic investment to the organization? We see HCD as a strategic investment to our organization because the expected outcome is something that will add value to our organization. It will increase our competitiveness. It will promote safety. It will promote operational excellence, and it will lead to business growth. So that is why we invest when it comes to HCD. Now, there is something more profound because before I begin to look into the return on investment, which is the area I want to really focus on. Return on investment is something that goes beyond how many people we have trained, how much we have thrown on the table to train our people, our staff, but to look at and ask a very fundamental question. Since after the training, what has changed? That is where it becomes a game changer for us, where we see HCD to have and leads to return on investment. CEPLAT presently is training 120 candidates on digitalization. This training is born out of the need to close the gap in the industry. Not only closing the gap in the industry, we carefully designed this program in collaboration with NCDMB, and of course, we utilize the services of Ogtan. When we engage these people, 120 people, they cut across the 6 geopolitical zones, which means 20 from South-South, Southeast, Southwest, North Central, and so on and so forth, because we believe that human capital development should be a thing that Nigerians, not only settlers, should benefit from. So we decided to embark on that journey. And when we brought in these people, we engaged the services of Ogtan to help us conduct the interview. They conducted the interview, they engaged these people. The first interaction I had with them, I discovered that they are people without experience. We didn't influence. We didn't influence anything. We didn't influence the selection process. We discovered that these people are, most of them, about 90% of them, didn't even have most of computer knowledge. They didn't have AI, generative AI, predictive AI, even how to use Claude AI and so on and so forth, experience. But 3 months down the line, I went back to see what they have done, mostly this South-South zone, which was done in Ikeja, and of course being delivered, deployed by Ogtan member. And I was shocked to see that these people have started building business solutions already that will support the oil and gas industry. And I can tell you that when these people are done, when these people are out of this training, which will last a year and 6 months, it will be a game changer. Away from that, I took a trip as well to Port Harcourt to see the South-South and the Southeast zone with NCDMB. And I think when I got to Port Harcourt, I called Chika. Chika was with me, Chika that accompanied me. And when we went to see what these people are doing, the business solutions that they have developed, we were all shocked. Even at a point, they were speaking oil and gas language, all the business solutions, up to management of stakeholders. They are coming out with it because they told me that one of the greatest problems in the oil and gas industry is community issues. So they are coming up with a business solution that will manage stakeholders and reduce community crisis, which is a plus to the oil and gas industry. Chika was surprised, and he asked one of them when they were making presentation, this particular guy that was making the presentation, Chika asked him, are you a petroleum engineer? The guy said he was very far from it, but the guy delivered effectively. So that is how CEPLAT sees return on investment on HCD. Please, finally, I want to also say that CEPLAT has every 2 years, CEPLAT engage young Nigerian youths. We bring them on board without oil and gas experience. We take them on a 1-year training and we hire them. And these Nigerian youths, young professionals that we have engaged, a lot of them today are already on in our leadership pipeline. Some of them have even taken over managerial roles. This is to show that HCD is not just a compliance or regulatory cost, but it's an investment and also regulatory, it's an investment and also contributed to the oil and gas industry.
Thank you.
Then finally, we view compliance, please, just a minute. We view compliance. Yeah, we view compliance as a foundation.
Thank you.
We see capability as not only a foundation, but we see capability to also be a catalyst. Then finally, we see business value. We see business value as the real measure of success when it comes to HCD. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Big round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. Well, that was pretty lengthy. Thankfully, the Honorable Minister is not here at the moment. That would have added to his well represented. So please don't judge us by the length of time we take in speaking. In Ogtan, we believe in talking and action at the same time. So next is Alexis Emil. So Alex, NCDMB has a very important role in driving Nigerian content and human capacity development. Do you believe the industry is currently, the industry current HTD model is producing the type of workforce that Nigeria needs for the next generation of oil and gas operations? And if not, what needs to change?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. And this question is going to border on a lot of things, but I promise you, I'm not going to take your time and then, talk as much as my previous counterpart said. I believe in most of the things that he said, but I saw a little bit of contradiction there when he said, is it all about training? But that's just besides the point. Now, to go to your question, yes, I believe that there's a robust energy and robust synergy in the industry with regards to the HCD trainings and what the industry has done so far on this HCD. So for us in local content and being a regulator, we do a lot in terms of when it comes to the training, the processes, and also when you look at our formats. In recent times, because of what we have been doing so far, a lot of companies are calling us to send our formats as to how they can come up with these trainings and everything, and which we have done and all that. Take, for instance, in the past, we've done HCD, and that ties me to what he was going to say. We have trained a lot of people. Most of the people that we trained were not being employed. And we were just training them, okay, bring this discipline, we train, bring this other discipline, we train, soft skills and all that. And I'm not saying those soft skills are not important, but we ended up looking at what are the things that we need to do that will push these people forward and make them industry ready. We came up with this field readiness training. The field readiness training is just only an NCDMB initiative. It is something that we did with the industry, something that we did with Ogtan, it's something that we did with stakeholders. We came up together and said, okay, yes, let's do this field readiness training. As you can see on this field readiness training, we have what we call the top 10 skills. Now, this is where there is a game changer in the industry. Yes, our top 10 skills and the way we fashioned it, it is such that 6 months on the job, 6 months classroom training and 6 months on the job training. If you all remembered yesterday, when some of the panelists were talking yesterday, they mentioned things about entrepreneurship. Is it entrepreneurship or IT? There was something where you need to go and do entrepreneurship, and which is essentially the on-the-job training. This on-the-job training is part of the process that we're using to make sure we give these trainees a lot of what they need to go out there. The other day, as my counterpart was talking about what CEPLAT did, and it's a CEPLAT HCD NCDMB thing. Now, not just CEPLAT, we have commissioned about 10 pilot cadets. On the basis of that, right now, they are actually on their way to South Africa to learn how to fly, not just helicopter, but also the fixed wings. So this is a very noble thing that NCDMB has done with regards to our training. And it's not just NCDMB. So I don't want anybody to misquote me and say NCDMB is taking all the glory. No, we did it with the operators, we did it with industry, we did it with stakeholders. Chevron took us on that, and as we are speaking now, they are going to be on their way to South Africa to learn their flight instructions. Not just that, my director spoke yesterday with regards to the 10 skill areas where there is a shortage of professionals. So if we keep going regurgitating and talking about all these things without looking to see why we even came here in the first place, or we came together to do this field readiness training, well, some of our trainees were not getting jobs. They were not getting jobs. So we decided, so right now, when you take somebody and underwater training, welding, underwater welding, this is an area that a lot of the companies, even overseas, everywhere, they are looking for. Pilots in Nigeria. We also heard yesterday when the minister and a lot of other people that spoke yesterday talked about the Japa syndrome, the erosion of the baby boomers, the succession plan. When these people are out of the system, have we created enough people that will take over from what is going on, or from where the capacity that they've built? Or are we still heavily dependent on expatriates? So we came up with all these things so that we can reduce our dependence on expatriates. Because most of the jobs right now, you can see that the expatriate quota that we're receiving, the applications that we're receiving, is from where we see the shortages of Nigerian professionals, and we'll try to bring it up to par. So I don't want to, like I said, I'm not going to, there's just a whole lot of things going on in the system. The minister also talked about the manpower, the capacity that we have built in the industry, especially with this field readiness training. It's going to project us in a way where all those of the minister's counterparts that are looking for manpower from Nigeria will be exported to them, because the minister said it, that his counterparts at the Apple are asking for Nigerians to come and work there. And if we have not built this capacity, they will not be asking. We are at the forefront and all that. So I'm going to pause for now, because whatever we're doing, I believe we're doing it right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For my friend Obi Onoche, from the perspective of a major international operator like SNEPCO, what are the biggest barriers to developing Nigerian technical and professional capacity to the point where Nigerians can take on increasingly complex roles?
Oh. Hello? Okay. Yeah. They are quite. I'll get a little bit from. I know this is because this is Ogtan. There is a tendency to look at it only from the Ogtan lens in terms of training. For me, there are two barriers I'll touch on. One is, I call it project cadence. And I think it's the GM, Alexis, alluded to it in terms of when you train people and they don't have opportunities to get their hand dirty, then before long, that capacity is lost. And so the question then is, how can we make sure as people are coming, we're also giving them work to do? And for us, our viewpoint here is about having that project cadence. And what I mean by project cadence, the work should be coming. And this is where I also have to take the opportunity to acknowledge the federal government and our president with all the different initiatives that and presidential orders have been issued just to encourage investment in the deep water offshore. I guess you will appreciate that I'll talk more around the deep water because SNEPCO is purely deep water. And those things are driving new investment. Of course, we know already Shell is doing the Bonga North project, is doing the HI project that is along with the Sunlink in the Sunlink JV. We're also working towards the Bonga Southwest. These are projects which, especially if the Bonga Southwest achieves FID, we're looking at having capacity, having need for capacity, human capacity for more than 10 years down the line. And with that creates that window for, as we're talking about training people, you're actually training them to fill a role, to fill a space. Not just we go and train 100 this, go and train 100 that. And I can tell you for SNEPCO already, we're already looking at, we had looked at Bonga North. After we took FID for Bonga North, one of the challenges we had was to mobilize for Bonga North. It was a challenge for not just us, even for our contractors, getting the right people, the right competent people to work. Because most of them, and I think that must have been touched previously, most of the people who had the competence were all aging. We didn't have the next generation coming in. I was involved in talking to one or two people who essentially had retired and encouraging them, well, come. Yes, the contractor needs you, come and do your last hurrah. So for us, we took a step back for SNEPCO. So okay, let's even start thinking as we now let's look at HCD as a vehicle that can help us to build for the next. Bonga North is already running, but there are projects coming in from. Who's going to deliver those projects? So we see the opportunity that HCD comes that will provide for us to do that. And that comes back to what the GM mentioned about the field readiness program. We're already tapping into that field readiness program. Let us target those gaps where we've seen as this project, the running projects we're mobilizing. Let's start targeting it so that for the next big projects coming, we have people to do it. And we're going to take it even beyond, we'll take it beyond the projects and even the operations. Because as you get new facilities, you need people to operate it. The other bit, I'll just speak quickly, just the other bit about it is, which is really what she's also talking about, that deployment gap. You train people, but you don't have anything for them to do. It's also very critical that we look at that. We know, just a minute. Okay, so for us, we are also working to change that storyline, right? We'll have a recent example for Bonga North. For the Bonga North subsidiaries, we actually worked with the contractor and NCDMB, whereby they took some 14 persons to Malaysia to understudy the assembly of those trees. So the first 4 trees were assembled in Malaysia with these people understudying. Today, the remaining 14 are being done in country, and it is this who they've come back and they are working. And that's another way of making sure, as you are identifying areas for training, should be areas of training that will generate, that will create employment for the trainees. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for this lady and gentlemen. It's been a very wonderful session, and like said when we started, the session is not a blame game. Everybody is a stakeholder, and as a matter of fact, everybody has made very valid points.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to take a few moments to deliver a message that my director said he was not able to do, and it's with regards to Ogtan. And it's the training facilities that we noticed that there are a good number of them in Port Harcourt. And director was of the opinion that we need to decentralize it. So I was speaking with some key Ogtan members today with regards to that. And I hope to get assurance that I can take back to the director. He's of the opinion that a lot of the training facilities are in Port Harcourt. We have very shortages in the north, we have very shortages in the southeast, we have very shortages in other areas, southwest, that we need to make it such that we can all be inclusive. So putting everything in Port Harcourt makes it difficult, looks as if we're disenfranchising the north. But I don't think that is the intent of Ogtan in doing that. So in that case, please, I just want to bring it out. And the second, somebody had asked a question which he wanted to respond to with regards to the academia, the alliance academia has with government. NCDMB has done so much in the areas of alliance with academia. We just recently kicked off a RISE project, a building in Port Harcourt. We just recently finished a project in University of Lagos. Federal University of Technology, Futo Owerri, has been a beneficiary of our HCD, Federal University of Minna, and other schools. So these are just the key points that the director wanted me to espouse here today. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to do this. Otherwise, I would have gone back and be in good trouble with my boss. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just for the point, Ogtan has different zones, and I'm sure the president will respond to that effectively. And gentlemen, like we said earlier, it's not a blame game. Everybody's a stakeholder and also a beneficiary eventually if we're able to ascend from paper training or certificate-based training to the actual capacity building, job readiness training. And then from what everyone has said here, performance is critical according to Dr. Okoro, and also to make sure that the trainings are value added, which is the entire essence of it all. And then my Seplat brother here, has clearly mentioned that HCD for them is not just for compliance. It goes far and above beyond compliance and is a strategic business investment for them, which is a very laudable approach, if I may say. And then, Lexis also emphasized on how dynamic NCDMB has been and also transitioning from the old ways to newer ways, doing job readiness training, which means that, for every training that a participant is ready to put his mouth where his money is and all of that. And then, and lower dependency on foreign certification and also expatriates and regional integration, emphasizing the fact that the Honorable Minister of Petroleum also highlighted on the need coming from regional, sub-regional, West Coast countries asking for personnel from here. And my SNEPCO brother also emphasizing on the employability and the opportunities that exist within their sphere, on the Bonga project also, meaning that what I sense from that is that there are opportunities for trainees to get placement in these projects, either directly to them or to the subcontractors who are involved in these projects. So on that note, I will say thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And the audience, please, if you're not so busy, could you please give this lady and gentleman a very big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have time for questions or? Question. Okay, so we'll take the one. We'll take the one.
One from a man, one from a woman.
Okay, one from a man, one from a woman. There's a red cap man standing. There's a red cap man standing. From where I come from. So we take one gentleman. We can't take everybody. I'm sorry. So we take the gentleman with the red hat and one of these guys. So the first to get up. 3, 2, 1. All right. The man behind you. No, sit down, sir, please. Thank you. Sit down, please. Thank you. And the other gentleman. And then for the ladies, all right, I have one hand up. And 2. Okay, so we take 1, 2, and then the 2 ladies. Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And I thank you for appreciating the only red cap man standing in this event. My question goes to the GM from ACDMB. Going by the message from your organization that why are all the Ogtan facilities situated in Port Harcourt, they should try to decongest it. I'm saying the effort is to understand why they are concentrating those facilities over there. And I believe this investment from the Ogtan are personal investment, even though it's strategic because they are training the human capacity that will run, that will transform our national resources to national, gain. They should understand why they are not rooting it there. If it is infrastructure gap, they should provide it for the Ogtan members to site their facility elsewhere, not asking them to move it somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. When you hear a question like that, you also listen to what is not being said. What is not being said and the message being passed on to us is that there's opportunities in the north. So if you have capacity to invest in the north, take advantage of it. Forget about the concentration in Port Harcourt. That is natural because it's individually driven. But what the message is that there is opportunity in the north to invest in infrastructure and facilities for human capacity building. So if you have the wherewithal to take advantage of that, please let's do so. But I'll be talking to Bandile.
Thank you.
Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. My question is for the NCDMB. You just talked about sending 10 helicopter pilots to South Africa for training. Now I know that flight simulators cost between $250,000 to $300,000. Why can't NCDMB make it possible for training providers to get a roadmap, sort of, based on expatriate requests quota, so that we know the areas to develop capacity in? For example, you need workers that have so and so skill that we need to send them out of country for training. If you give Ogtan members a kind of data of what is required now based on expatriate quotas from IOCs or major players, it makes it possible for people to say, okay, we are going to take $1 million, invest in getting this equipment, because we know that we have to train so and so number of people for the next 2-3 years. I don't know if I was clear enough.
Thank you. And the 2 ladies, please. Coming to you.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this panel, very energetic. My name is Dr. Sarah Winnie from Petroleum Training Institute. I head the Linkages Exchange and Partnerships unit in the Institute. And we've been talking about training. I know that we may not be looking at research as much as we're looking at training, but most of the time, the research is what gives back to the training. And many times you are actually required to do a proper needs analysis, which is part of research, before you engage in these trainings. I just want to throw this to NCDMB. I know you're doing fantastic. And as a matter of fact, I'm one of your advocates. Are there any incentives for companies that are actually doing research in terms of supporting what is happening in the academia? Are there any incentives? There are two things I'd like you to drive as NCDMB. Number one, encourage companies that are actually doing research in country. You and I know that most of these major players, their training centers are outside the country. And lastly, it was well dealt with yesterday. I really want to thank Professor Onyekon. What he said yesterday is one of my major take-homes from this conference. Are there also incentives or encouragement for companies that are encouraging SciWest program? SciWest program may not look as important as we think, but it's a level of HCD in itself, if you look at it from that lens. Is there any encouragement for companies that are actually getting these things done?
Thank you. Thank you. And the last.
I don't even have a pen.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Tari Berdugo. I'm from Abuja School of Governance and Business. Madam Alexis, I love the energy and I love the work NCDMB is doing currently and the outreach so far. So my question is on value. What is NCDMB's current spend is NCDMB current spend on indigenous training delivery having a return on investment, or is it simply a tick box exercise to fulfill the Nigerian Content Act? What strategy does NCDMB have to measure the value that recipients or people across the nation get from NCDMB? What measure do you use to evaluate? For NNPC, I have an idea of how they evaluate the level of value people get from them. So what measure does NCDMB have in evaluating value that they give out to recipients? Or is it just a tick box exercise just to fulfill the Nigerian Content Act? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we have the 4 questions, and they all seem to border around NCDMB. So do you want to take them? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the very first one from the gentleman over there.
The first one,
was answered by
president has
the
already
president.
done that. So you take
the second one, the gentleman over there was asking a question with regards to
the pilot simulation.
the pilots
Yes.
simulation,
The pilot training.
the pilot training. So I didn't even get your question when it comes to the pilot training. Are you interested in registering, or you have some people that want to register
No, I
to be
think
trained?
part of what is
Okay, to invest. So in that aspect, we did our pilot training with Caverton. Is it Caverton? No, Bristol. We did our pilot training with Bristol. So if you want to invest in that one, I believe you should approach the board and then let the board, kind of guide you on how to do that. Because this is an HCD event. It's an HCD project that Chevron helped us do. And if you want to invest in that, please, maybe you can approach the board separately and then we'll discuss that.
all right.
The
Thank
next-
you. Can I get you the mic?
John's down.
Top 10 skills is almost like that roadmap, isn't it? That's where the gap currently in the industry. So anybody that wants to build capacity or train in any area, the easiest thing to do is to pick up the top 10 skills and decide one of them and then invest in that.
Based on the fact that you mentioned that you were sending some people to South Africa to acquire training in this area. So he's saying, why is NCDMB not thinking of investing or building that capacity, that training capacity in country, so that we can now build that? We know that Caverton and Bristol has that capacity, but how do you grow more indigenous capacity to provide that helicopter and fixed wing training in country?
Give me the third question, if it's been answered.
And the third question is on the current spend and how you measure.
So what we do when it comes to HCD training, it is not just to tick the boxes, and I find it a little bit demeaning and I'm not saying it in a very bad way. When you say a whole agency like NCDMB is just coming to tick the boxes, given all NCDMB has done. So on that note, I'm going to ask you, when I know your guy, your professor, and all that, why don't you people approach the board with regards to what we do when it comes to that? Your office has done a lot of trainings for us, and I'm talking about if you're with Garden City, done a lot of trainings for us, even before I joined capacity building. And for you to come and be asking us if it's just to tick the boxes, makes it look as if you don't know the history we have with your company. Okay. So if you still want to know more, please can you approach the board and we will be able to give you all the answers that you need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. On that note, I will say thank you once again to ladies and gentlemen, and to the audience. Thank you so very much. And on the research, sorry, the lady had a question. Research? Right.
I'm very sorry, I didn't write all these questions because anytime I go for any occasion where I have to speak, all the questions come to NCDMB. I was actually thinking that by now, you guys would have toned down on that. And if you notice, I am supposed to leave and go to Owerri, so that's why when I say approach the board and all that, yes, when you're talking about research, please, can you write us a letter letting us know that you're interested in doing a research? Have you done that? The incentives. You're trying to get me to commit to something.
No, because when regulation is driven by incentives,
so the incentives are there.
It makes it better.
The incentives are there. If you can come and partner with us is one of the incentives, because we need this research. All this research help us to flesh out where the gaps are. Somebody talked about how do we know where we've done a lot of stakeholder engagement. We've done a lot of surveys. We've done a lot of studies. We've done so many things, and that is how we come up with. And then we've done a lot of research as well. So that's why I said approach the board. There are so many incentives. You can come and partner with NCDMB. We've partnered with the operators. We've partnered with the consultants. We've partnered with everybody. So just look at it this way. Local content is not a sprint. It's a marathon. If you bring a lot of things that you think will be helpful to the board in moving the needle forward, or helping the board to industrialize, being a catalyst for industrialization of Nigeria, we don't see them will open their hands openly for you to come in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And on that note, you heard it. You can approach the board, and at the same time, the board being a very dynamic board, are very open to changes and different solutions that fit the purpose. So thank you everybody for your time this afternoon. And ladies and gentlemen, you might want to get up for the group photograph. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, would like to invite the President and Vice, the group photograph. After that, the award will be presented. And please,
Please, the first plaque will go to Mr. Joe Odua. Thank you very much for excellent moderation. Thank you so much for excellent moderation. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Martin Okoro. Madam Alexis Mele. I'm sure I've pronounced that name badly. Emele. Mr. Simeon Ogari, thank you so much for your contribution. Mr. Obi Onoche, thank you very much for your contribution. Sir, please, if you can please stand with the panel again. Let's take another panel picture. This time with the plaques. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Shall we please put our hands together for them as they go back to their seats? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we want to appreciate every one of you for your time. And then, of course, we are gradually getting to the climax of the event. And so, who pays and for what? The NCDMB HCD Fund, PTDF, IOC budget, and members' fee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to moderate the Port Harcourt Zone Chairman of Ogtan, Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center Limited, Engineer Chika Chinwa. A round of applause for him. And then, of course, we have the panelists Professor Shuaibu Shehu Aliu, Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, PTDF. All right. We have Okezie Unaga, Nigerian Content Development Fund, NCDF, NCDMB. We also have Head Specialized Business Department, Nexim Bank, Mohammed Zana Awami. Honorable Bamidele Olubumi Ayodele, MBA, CMC, FIMC, CBDSP, CDPO, Enterprise Development and Business Linkage, ISPAT. And last but not the least, is it because I said DPO? Maybe he's a DPO in his own way. All right, last but not the least, we have the Managing Director, PM for Success Limited, Dr. David Emumena. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 20 minutes and your time begins now. Thank you.
Good evening once again. Welcome to this panel session. The last but not the least, we're talking about the money question. And I have here with me, as introduced, Mr. Okezie from NCDMB, Mr. Awami from Nexim Bank, and then Mr. Bamidele, an enterprise development and business expert, and Dr. David Imamina, PM for Success MD. So as the panel session goes, who pays for HCD? HCD funding. What do we even mean by funding HCD? Because HCD is a business. For us as Ogtan, we offer services and we get paid for it. So when we say funding HCD, what do we mean? Now, NCDMB, as we know, facilitated the formation of Ogtan to provide training for the oil and gas. And today we have a national target of 3 million barrels per day in the next 4 years or so. And it's humans that are going to do this. We need the human capital to do this. And that means it needs to be funded. So I'm going to start with Mr. Okezie, to give us your own perspective of NCDMB funding for HCD.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. Okay, at the heart of this discussion is money to fund capacity. And the question is, where does this money come from? For NCDMB, we have what we call NCDF, Nigerian Content Development Fund. How do we put this fund together? There is 1% levy being paid by contractors who operate in the upstream sector. So from this fund, we try to channel them out in the area of intervention fund. We have direct equity investment. We have capacity building. But let me dwell on capacity building. President has made it easier for you to be able to access this fund. It's not only accessing the fund, but at a rate that you cannot even think of in Nigeria. It's not comparable to any cost of fund anywhere in Nigeria. So we have decided to see, okay, in building capacity, there's one question they asked here. You say, how do we measure? Is NCDB only ticking boxes? You know, before the enactment of the NOGIC Act, we're only operating at 5% when it comes to local participation. But now we can pride ourselves with more than 60%. So if you're looking at a way to measure that, you find which HCD is part of what brought about that growth. Before now, we'll talk of sometimes all these IOCs, they will tell you we do not have the capacity. The state skills are not there. But within some level of intervention had enabled us to domesticate most of these activities here. And what do we gain from here? In-country value retention. So this fund now is available. The only problem we have is that sometimes they look at it as a jamboree when we gather like this and explain most of this funding. These are opportunities you can latch on. Take advantage of them. In this aspect, we partner with some DFIs. They provide the lending infrastructure. So by doing this, these banks, some of the trainers can approach, if you cannot find, when you go to commercial banks, the rates at which you get maybe most of this fund is outrageously high. We have decided to, using these concessionary loans, meet with the banks, they will direct to do their due diligence, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to access this fund. What's the essence? It helps to build capacity through HCD. So Ogtan is doing a very good job. In our oil and gas sector, you cannot undermine HCD because most of these jobs before now are done by expatriates. And when we think of capital flights, you might think of how much Nigeria is losing every year. But most of these values now are retained in country. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So just riding on that, I'm going to come to Mr. Awami, concerning how your bank is working with NCDMB as a DFI.
Hello, all right. Thank you very much, and it's almost evening, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So like Mr. Okeze said, NCDMB partnered with Nexim Bank to manage a fund which is called the Working Capital and Capacity Building Fund. Now this fund, when it was set up, was mainly targeted at Ogtan and Petan members. But as we progress, it was open to other oil and gas service providers. Now, what this fund does is to provide concessionary loan to operators in the upstream sector of the oil and gas, service providers, sorry, not operators, the service providers in the upstream oil and gas sector, which of course includes Ogtan members and Petan members. So, and then the fund is divided into two. A portion of the fund size is actually $50 million. 30% of that, $30 million is specifically for providing working capital and capacity building facilities to oil and gas service providers, while $20 million was set aside for women in oil and gas. Now, in terms of the characteristics of the funds, what kind of contracts or what kind of services we finance, like I said, mostly upstream oil and gas services from IOCs and NOCs. So it could be a supply contract, it could be an EPC contract, it could be a capacity contract in terms of a manpower contract and any other form of contract that is being carried out in the upstream sector. It is also for the funding of equipment, light equipment and assets for the oil and gas service providers. So it could be for building capacity to acquire equipment such as well testing equipment and other things, or it could be building capacity for setting up a training center, expanding your training center, or acquiring specialized equipment for training centers and other things.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to come to Dr. David. He's seated here speaking from the perspective of Ogtan. So Dr. David, I'm going to ask you, looking at the topic, funding HCD, the money question. Now, for the IOC budgets and then our members' fee, how is HCD being funded?
Okay, good evening. This is a very important question for me and in this conference. How is HCD funded? I haven't run PM for Success for 13 years, and I haven't worked in the industry building capacity. One of the things we'll find out is that the oil and gas, the oil company, we're talking about the IOCs, the NOCs, those that are operating in the downstream sector as well, they are the ones that fund HCD. And I will give a very clear example. And I think this is something that Ogtan members should also take home. A lot of Ogtan members go to NCDMB looking for funding for HCD projects. But the real owners, the ones that provide the money for HCD, is the IOCs, because they are working on the project base. What is the project base? What does that mean? For every project that is given above $1 million, a certain percentage of it is used for capacity building in the oil and gas industry. Now, if you want to get this job, which is one thing that is very key, you are going to NCDMB or you're going to the IOC, you're not going to get the job. So the first person you need to look for as a registered Ogtan member is the service provider. So for example, in the example of the Bonga Knot, I will mention the HCD value, but who is going to pay that money? It is SNEPCO that is going to pay that money for the HCD. But SNEPCO is not going to give the money to the Ogtan members. It's going to pass it through the contractors, those that are providing the services, that are delivering the job for SNEPCO on the back of the Bonga Knot. So you target those companies, the likes of Technic FMC, the likes of SIPEM, all of those companies. You meet with them. By the time you get to them, you submit your training plan. It goes through their processes, and it means the 10 field readiness skills, because whatever training that is going on right now in the industry, you need to understand that it's around that 10 top skills. So if it's not around that 10 top skills, whatever you're doing, you're just making a mistake. So if it's in line with that top 10 skills, and it passes through the service provider, which is SIPEM, for example, it gets to SNEPCO. SNEPCO now gets to SCDMB for approval. What basically SCDMB is going to do is to approve. But the money is being released by SNEPCO to SIPEM, and SIPEM in turn will not pay you, the Ogtan company. So if you look at this entire value chain, you realize that it is the IOC or the Seplat, for example, or Midwestern, for example, ND Westerns that are operators are the ones that are paying for the HCD. Now, the PIA also make it very, in such a way that the host community development fund is also there as well. Now, the whole community development fund is also coming from the IOCs as well. So the entire value chain of who fund HCD in the oil and gas industry is the operators, whether it's the IOC, or that is the marginal field operator, whether it's the NOC, whether it's NFPC or Seplat, those are the ones that fund HCD in the oil and gas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, thank you. So, from what he has said, like I mentioned when I started, funding HCD here, it's contracts. So when we're talking about funding HCD, what are the contracts that enable these services to be delivered? And that means for us, as Ogtan members, we approach funding as a business development. I'm going to come to Mr. Bamidele now from the enterprise development and business linkages perspective. How are you going to approach funding HCD using a market-driven system approach?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and I want to thank the organizers of this wonderful conference. Actually, I've been around since we commenced, and I must commend the team, and I must commend the output so far. Wonderful one. And I want to quickly say that I'm not a technical specialist in engineering. I'm also not maybe a specialist in decarbonization. I'm an enterprise development person, and I'm going to be a little bit different from what we've been saying since. And the fact is, the question is not about who should pay alone. coming from the point of view of business development and enterprise development generally, and business linkages. Looking at the market system approach, we should also be looking at what really am I paying for? What are the outcomes derivable from what I'm paying for, what I will be paying for? And eventually, what will be the value addition? And we've been talking about this for some time. So as a market-driven strategy for us, I won't say A should pay, B should pay. You are not wrong if you say the IOC should pay for it, for HCD. But I would say that it's a shared responsibility in the market system approach, in this context, for HCD, for the oil and gas, or maybe octane business. We want to say that it should be a shared responsibility whereby you have the government and the development organizations and its MDAs on their own. They will be part of the funding. Of course, the financial institutions are also part of the funding. The IOCs are part of the funding, like you have rightly said. And even the Ogtan members, Ogtan itself or herself must also be part of the funding of HCD in this case. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because in the recent, looking at the market system approach of an organization we worked with recently as one of the those who implemented the program, talking about Foundation for Partnership Initiative in Niger Delta, that's PIN Foundation. We worked with them in implementing some projects, and we actually used this particular model, and it has worked. In a nutshell, we cannot continue to go cap in hand to maybe to NCDMB or the IOCs as Ogtan members each time we need funding for our human capital development. At some point, I'm sorry, we need to also develop sustainability outside that funding window. That's what the market system talks about. And that's why they also should be deliberate, just like we've been discussing for some time here, and intentional in trying to fund not just training. In the market system approach, and as business people, we also look beyond the training aspect. We also fund access to finance. We fund access to market. We fund access to capability. And when I say access to finance, done from the Nexim Bank, talks about the funding arrangement and all that, the products you have, fine. But there should be some form of training and funding that will go into developing the capacity of the members of Ogtan and beneficiaries to be able to access this funding. They must be prepared. I saw in a report that SNDMB engaged with Ogtan members recently, sometime in August or July, and there it was stated that less than 10% of Ogtan members are presently accessing the opportunities that are available. And from discussion we'll be having here, I heard also that we have over 400 members, which means less than 40 members are presently accessing these opportunities. So why? Maybe the funding opportunities. The question is why? We should now be deliberate to look at how we bring all the market actors together. The IOCs, the government, Ogtan, the financiers, in an architecture that ensures that the businesses scale, and at some point, they are sustainable. They don't have to wait until the funding windows are available before they develop competencies. And that's what we are saying in the market system approach, that at some point, as a trainer who have been invested or who has been invested into by maybe a system, it could be the IOCs, it could be the regulators, you should be able to stand on your own and fund some basic technicalities or competencies. For instance, we're looking at the future, this industry is fast emerging, rapidly growing, oil and gas industry. And from the report we got recently as well, from NUPRC, the CCE made mention that about 22 about 22 offshore projects will be coming to Nigeria between 2026 to 2030, which means we must be ready. We must be ready. So, in terms of who will pay, it's a shared responsibility, in my opinion, and the market system approach will also ensure that at some point, we should fund not just the training. Who are funding the trainee? Who funds the trainer? The Honorable Minister said in the beginning of this conference, in his keynote address, that we should also pay attention to who funds the trainers. And while we pay attention to this, we also should look at the selection process. In the business market system approach, it's not all common affair, which, because of our time, I'll quickly just propose Ogtan. That's something I want to propose right now. Ogtan 50 proposal. Let's look at 50 members of Ogtan with growth potentials. There is going to be a whole lot of diagnosis that will go into this. Market system approach actually takes a whole lot of attention on diagnostics. You have to look at those who have the competencies, governance, condition, especially finance. If you ask for records, I know you'll bear me witness. If you ask for records, financial records of most of our members, they may not be able to produce them because they do not have the capacity. So they should fund that as well in terms of capacity building. I will stop for now. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I think we've gone around. Let's clap for him. So I've gone around the 4 panelists here. I'm going to give them an opportunity to give a final word, and I'm going to start with Dr. David. You heard what he said. The director capacity building, during his session here, he said that about 5% of Ogtan members are participating in the trainings that are going on now. Okay, and you heard what Bamidele just said now, that it's a shared responsibility. Everybody have, and he also, Bamidele also said that people will not sit down and wait for them to come and knock at their door to give the opportunity. What do you have to say that for us as Ogtan?
Okay, when I get this kind of questions, it triggers the kind of, I would like to say, happiness in me, because this conversation around 5%, 10% of Ogtan members has been going on for a while now. And I want to say it clearly in this room to all Ogtan members that you cannot give what you don't have. That is one. And you cannot sit in your house comfortably for somebody to go there, knock the door, get the job. For each of the contract that goes on, either it's ACD, either it's construction, whether it's engineering, there are conversations that goes on before the contract is awarded. So you don't get to sit and wait for the contract or the company come to knock at your door and say, oh, because you're an Ogtan member, you get the job. No. First, being an Ogtan member gives you equal access to the same 10% that are getting the job. What you now have to do is understand, how do you go about it? And I've said it countless times. Don't go to NCDMB to look for the opportunities. When we call for conferences like this, look for the service provider. Those are the people that are holding the key to the projects. They are the ones that get the jobs from the IOCs. So when you develop a relationship with the service providers and you have integrity, you are trustworthy, you have developed capacity, you have the right competencies, and you are committed to whatever service that you are offering, the jobs will come to you. If SNEPCO knows that Greenfield can be able to deliver on a certain scope, SNEPCO will always go back to Greenfield because they know that with Greenfield they can go and sleep. So Ogtan members that are in this house, you need to develop the right integrity and build the right competency so that you can be marketable and be there when we have conferences. This is Ogtan event that has come. PNC is just around the corner. NOG is going to be coming in next year. How do you participate? I would say some of the Ogtan members will say, oh, sorry, you are not big companies. There is never a big company. Every company starts small. But it is that commitment and integrity that over time, people will begin to know that there is a brand, and this brand is trusted, and we can work with this brand. And I believe with that, this idea of 10% or 5%, I know that with that, all of that will be settled. Just like the service companies. You have the likes of Baker Hughes getting a lot of jobs. You have the likes of Technic FC. Are you going to say that they are the only companies that are doing subsea engineering activities? No, you have Subsea One as well. You have a marine platform as well. So it's a function of you positioning yourself and ensuring that you have the right skill set, the right team to work with you, and the jobs. Like I will always say, the ecosystem is open to everybody to go in there, do what you are supposed to do it well, and you will get the opportunities. Thank you.
So, in summary, what is saying that we should be prepared for the opportunities that are coming.
Yes.
Mr. Okede, I'll give you just one word because we have about 3 minutes now. Final words for the NCDB funds.
The truth is this, the money is here. The structure is here as well, and the opportunity is here. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Awami.
Thank you, Mr. Okeze. I like that. I will just write on what they said. So a lot of companies are eligible for funding, but they are not ready for funding. So I think what we can do is to partner with Ogtan and other providers to see how we can move these companies from just being eligible to being funding ready. So
Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay, so your final words. Final words, just 1 minute. Final.
Okay, we should just treat, we shouldn't treat training just as an expense. It should be treated like an investment. That's my final word. Thank you.
So for me, like we've been muting within Ogtan ourselves, there's what they call the Project 100, where they funded about 100 service providers. For us in Ogtan, I think it's something we also need to do. We're going to have our own Ogtan 50, where 50 Ogtan companies, through some criteria, are going to be set, will be identified, and they are capacitated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So any questions? I think we're going to take 3 questions. 3 questions, please. Our time is fast spent. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, just 2 questions. Okay, ma'am. Okay, that's the 3rd one. So number 1, any mic?
Please, let's have the mic.
Please go straight to the question, please.
Number 1 is there. Is here. Yeah.
Okay, many thanks for the insights. As distinct from the 1% NCDF levy that has been discussed, operators are also required to set aside 3% of their project cost for human capacity development, HCD. So how effective has that been in closing the gaps that have been discussed here around the 10 areas of skills shortage for professional competence in the oil and gas industry? You didn't really quite touch on the 3% that are required to set aside. It's not transmitted to NCDMB. There's also set aside to use it to manage HCD projects.
Okay, so when Dr. David talked about the IOC budget, okay, what he was referring to was the project-based NC HCD training. So it's from that fund that they provide those HCD training. So we touched on it when we're talking about the IOC budgets. Now the IOC budgets fund projects in the industry. So it's from those projects, it's on the back of those projects that they do the HCD training. So, but we are not talking about the service providers or the operators, but we're talking about the operators themselves. So it was touched. Second question, please.
Yes, thank you. So I think my question is for both Mr. Awani and Nexim and Mr. Okeze. It's a pleasure to have both of you here. So if an application for the working capital gets stuck at Nexim, can somebody approach NCDMB to say, I've been at Nexim for 6 months, all requirements have been met, all SLAs have been breached, right? Can NCDMB now step in and say, Nexim, what's going on with this guy's application? That's my question.
Okay, so I think he's just talking about the ease of access, so I think you can just speak to that.
Well, I think if there's a genuine case, you can, but we also have an SLA with NCDMB that all applications will be processed within 21 working days.
I don't understand. What do you mean? No, for what? Like he said, there are specific, if you have a contract with the IOCs, that's at least it's a guarantee that if they fund you, you'll be able to pay back. So what kind of funding were you looking for?
It's almost 4 weeks now, right? So there is nothing that they've asked for over these 5 months that we have not provided. So if for 4 weeks there's not been any new communication, it means that they don't have anything else they require from us, but we have still not been received any information. So somehow there's a disconnect between published information and the reality.
Okay, you want to say anything?
Paul, thank you very much. As you have said this, I think let's take this off the mic. We can now discuss and find a solution to this.
Off record.
Off your mic, off your mic.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the panelists. It's been very insightful, but still, I'm a little bit hazy, particularly with respect to the funding. So at NOG, I know that the whole talk of NCDMB campaigning, so to speak, to the industry, saying if you have capacity to, develop the local content, we encourage you, to look at this as an opportunity for you, whether it's fabrication, welding, whatever area of strength that you have, we are ready to fund you. And then I'm hearing again here today a total different kind of funding, which is project-based funding via the IOCs or the marginal field operators or even whatever national oil operators. I wanted you to be able to clarify to me what the difference is between what Engineer Bamidele was speaking to, where he was encouraging the likes of companies like mine, saying, if you have the capacity to develop local content and participate, whether you have the facility or you have the faculty or even everything, please just know that we encourage you to come in, we will fund you. Differentiate between that statement that Engineer Bamidele made and what I'm hearing today versus,
All right, thank you.
I want to know that.
Okay, just to clarify, if you listen to Mr. Okeze,
yes,
for the NCDMB fund, okay, so it's a direct intervention from NCDMB. So I'm going to allow Mr. Okeze to clarify that. For the one that Mr. Bamidele of NCDMB was talking about is the project-based training. They are doing the FROT for 10 top skills. And they are going around identifying Ogtan members that have facilities, okay, so that they can patronize their services, so that the investments they have made setting up these facilities, they can have return on their investment. So there are two different things. But I'll just allow Okeze to clarify the one that they do from the NCDMB, the NCDF.
Yeah,
Okay,
what are those 10 top skills as well?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, from NCDMB perspective, ours is direct intervention in the sense that if you have a training and you cannot fund it, you don't have access to fund, or maybe cost of capital or cost of that funds maybe is so high, you understand? We have given you a window, an opportunity to access, we have made this, provided this fund for you to be able to access it through DFIs. So what we do is direct intervention. Not with what the 3%.
Yes, the 3%.
So ours is direct.
After you have the job, you go and meet them for them to, like the one the guy just talked about.
If you have the job, and maybe you're looking for funds to execute that job, meet with Nexim. They will do their due diligence. It has nothing to do with that 3%.
I know.
So ours is from the NCDF, from which we will channel out this to ensure that at least we build human capital.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, great panelists. Thank you for the session.
Thank you very much. Group photograph. A representative of the Honorable Minister to please join them for the group photograph. President and Vice to join.
No, 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 no.
So we want to thank the panel and the moderator for an excellent job. So we have the first presentation of plaque, and this plaque will go to the moderator, Mr. Chika, Engineer Chika Chinwe. So this plaque goes to Mr. Okeze. The next plaque will go to Mr. Awami. You can present this one. This will go to Mr. Oh, there's still one more. So the next presentation goes to Mr. Bamdele. All right, thank you. Yes. No, wait, there's still. Yeah. And the final one is for Dr. David Emumena. So can the moderators and the panelists please step up with their... Okay. No, it's gone around there. Okay, please let the director please join. Director can come here. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Please, a round of applause for these wonderful gentlemen. I really do not know if you took notice that this happened to be one of the panel of discussants that didn't have a woman, a feminine touch. Others have been having. I didn't know if you noticed it. Women, did you notice that? You were not represented in this. Are you going to protest? Okay. Thank God you're not protesting. And thank God that Prof is not here, who is your advocate. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, very quickly I'd like to respectfully invite Doris Opuwari, the GM NCDMB Academy, to speak to us in the next 8 minutes, 10 max on the topic NCDMB Academy and HCD. Please come forward. Thank you. A round of applause for her.
Okay. Good evening, all. Permit me to stand on the established protocol. Before I delve into what NCA is all about, I would like to thank Dr. Chris for this wonderful conference and to thank the Ogtan group. It was well done, and it was nice meeting several people and the various Ogtan, what will I say, group heads or leaders from the various zones. Okay, so I'd like to talk to all of us about the Nigerian Content Academy. The Nigerian Content Academy is the newest division in NCDMB. It was actually inaugurated in 2024, or established in 2024, during the 13th Practical Nigerian Content and Conference in Yenagoa. And then we held the first lecture. But after the event, we went a bit quiet. Why? Because we were trying to put together the vision. We wanted to take a position as to what we're going to actually do. We had several meetings with Ogtan. We had pushbacks because Ogtan thought we were going to compete with them. And that wasn't the plan. We wanted to collaborate rather than compete. As of today, we have channeled a path for the academy, and the focus is on Nigerian content matters. Our mandate is taken from the Logic Act Section 70, which states that NCDM is being given the authority to train, carry out workshops, symposiums, and things like that. It's based on that section of the Act that the division was set up. And what are we doing? Or what are we supposed to do? Or what have we decided to do? We intend to train people on the philosophy of the Nigerian context, also on the Logic Act, NCDMB processes, NCDMB policies, and that's where our focus is supposed to be. And this is driven by the fact that several companies have had issues over time concerning our policies, our processes, and how to go about getting their certification. And immediately that gap was identified, management decided that it was important that we set up a division that would intervene in that particular gap that was identified. And so we're going to, like I said, focus on just the processes of NCDMB, the philosophy of the Act, the Logic Act, so people get to understand what the Logic Act is all about. And who are our focus? The focus of the Nigerian Content Academy are basically the operators, the service companies, the academy organization, the staff, because we also need to understand what the Act is all about, and then Nigerians. So it's not just how will I put it? Even the Ogtan group, that's also our focus. They're not our
today
competitors,
we
like I
have
said
in the
before.
pre-conference
And how do we differentiate
tournament
from
for Ogtan. It's actually prelude to the two-day conference
we,
that
like I
starts.
said, are focused on NCDMB processes. And so we want to improve compliance in the sector. And that's why our focus is on our processes. While Ogtan is on training Nigerians on technical skills, helping Nigerians to become employable. And then you have the pattern, growing the SMEs and ensuring that the workforce is ready. So you see, it's we all focus on 3 different areas, so we're not in competition. And how do we differentiate ourselves? How are we different from the HCD division? The HCD division is still under Capacity Building Directorate. HCD, like you have heard today, is focused on coordinating everything regarding training. They do not train. They use the Ogtan members to achieve their aim, while we will train. So you see there's a difference. HCD, they do not train. We will train. Who can speak about Nigerian content better than NCDMB? And that's why we decided to go on that path. And based on that, I think before I close, we will be engaging the Ogtan members, our stakeholders, on what we intend to do and when we intend to start. In fact, we'll be starting fully in 2027. I am sure the Executive Secretary will be communicating our, vision, our mandate to all, maybe during the PNC, the next PNC that will be coming up soon. And by January, I'm sure we'll be sending letters where our curriculum would have been printed, our costs and everything will be sent out to every organization, be it the operators, the service companies, on our activities or courses. I hope this clears the story about the Nigerian Content Academy and our history. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. That's Doris Opuwari, the GM NCDMB Academy. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, whatever has a beginning has an end. And all too soon, but interestingly, we are coming to the end of this 3-day program that have been very impactful. I'm sure we are going home better persons than we came, and we'll be looking forward to having results, as it were, in our various endeavors. To this end, I'd like to respectfully invite the Chairman, Conference Planning Committee, Ogtan, in person of Fumi Ogboe, to please step forward to give us the recognition of sponsors, partners, and exhibitors. A round of applause for her, please.
To organize this conference, it has been done 100% by volunteers. The National Exco of Ogtan have organized this conference by themselves. So I would like to to do that, obviously they've set up a committee, and I would like to first of all invite the members of the committee that organized it. Let's start with that group. So once you come on stage, then I'll invite the other members of the Exco that are not members of the planning committee. Then I'll invite the sponsors. So first of all, members of the subcommittee, please come on stage. It's been a lot of work, as you can imagine, because, people will say, oh, why is it a lot of work? I think I tried to explain earlier. We're all CEOs. Ogtan is an association of companies, of the MDs of companies. So you can imagine we're running our company. Some of us have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 companies that we're running. And we're volunteering to serve on the executive of Ogtan. And then we're being mandated to organize a conference. And all of this is happening within a month or so. So honestly, I would like you to give us a big round of applause. So what we did was I was appointed the chair of the committee, and then, come on. I was appointed the chair of the committee, and the first thing I did was to say, okay, we have to share this work. So we then set up subcommittees, and each subcommittee had a chair. And we also appointed, we identified the project manager, who was the Ogtan manager. So please, where's Darlington? So Darlington was double-hatting also as the Ogtan manager and the project manager for this conference. So it's a volunteer organized event. So please, let's take a picture.
And then to those that gave us the mandate, just wait. Can we please have the members of the executive of the National Exco of Ogtan to join the picture? So they gave us the mandate. They are the National Exco. They are here. Additionally, we then had, in addition to us that were, on the planning committee, we then had volunteers from all of our different companies to join the project team. So if you volunteered, please come on stage and join the picture. If you're a member of the project team, we snap. So if you joined the project team from your company, please come on stage. And then, honestly, we couldn't have done this without our sponsors. You sponsored this event. We really deeply thank you. I would like you to please come on stage and join us for the sponsors picture. If you're a member of a company that's sponsoring, please come on stage. Sponsoring companies, please come on stage. Thank you very much for your sponsorship and for your support. All right, thank you. Then I'd like to add, please stay. I'd then like to add the partners. If you're a member of a partnering company, WIEN, PETAN, PTI, please come on stage and join the ecosystem of who has made this possible. We couldn't have done it without you all. Thank you so much for your support, your partnership, your money, your time, your contributions. Please come. Huh? Okay, don't worry. This is the complete ecosystem of who has made this possible. We thank you all for your commitment and your support. We look forward to this event being even more incredible next year. So if you're a partner, you are from PETAN, Women in Energy Network, PTI. These are all our partners. You're a sponsor. You're a volunteer. Finally, we have the Ogtan young professionals. They have volunteered tirelessly. I'm sure you would have seen them. Please come. Please come on stage. We thank you for all your support, your time. A lot of them are in university. They're studying petroleum engineering or one course like that. Geosciences, commercial subjects. We're very happy that they were able to come and support us.
Some can come on stage.
Are they not too old for sporting? There's space on stage, no? Are they that young? You all to say as we're taking this picture is Ogtan. Ogtan, yeah? Okay. Maybe we should do 1, 2, 3.
Merci beaucoup.
Please, planning committee members, can you remain? And then can I have a representative of the OYP to say a few words? Who is the representative of the OYP, the Ogtan Young Professionals? Where is the Please, committee members, come back. But after this picture, you can just go. You go. Only committee members now. Let's just have a final committee. Only committee, no president. No, we're not sharing money. It's just picture. We should have a record so that next year when somebody says, come and serve on the committee again, you bring out the picture that, no, I've served. No. So you young professional is just going to give the vote of thanks, not vote of thanks, but just say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Oyewole James Maiwa by name.
the Program Director of Ogtan Footmina Chapter. And I really want to appreciate every one of us for coming for this conference. And also to our President, National President, Mr. Christopher, I want to appreciate your efforts in bringing us together. And to our planning committee and other members, we are really grateful. To our General Manager of Ogtan, Mr. Darlington, it has been a wonderful time. We thank you very much. And to our National Licensing Coordinator, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. And as to those that are coming up, being OIP, we really want to encourage you. This is not just the list of what we could do. We could do better. So please, try as much as possible to put in more effort. And as we grow up, as we move along, we are going to succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that's the Catch Them Young approach. As we bring this event to a close, may I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the reason this conference was convened, the Ogtan Human Capital Development Manifesto is an industry-wide commitment statement, I beg your pardon, what operators, regulators, and trainers would deliver over the next decade, and this to be read into the record and signed here today. To this end, distinguished guests, to read the manifesto, the President, Ogtan, Mr. Chris Osaru-Wese, with the National Executive Council, co-anchoring the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Engineer Felix Omashola-Ogbe. I now respectfully invite our signatories to join them as they come on stage. The speaker is no other person than Christopher Osaru-Wese, President, Ogtan, with the National Executive Council. Again, the co-anchor, Engineer Felix Omashola-Ogbe, Executive Secretary, NCDMB. Dr. Hafiz Oluwatoyin Ogun, Director General, Chief Executive, Industrial Training Fund, ITF. Dr. Ahmed Bolaji Nagwode, Chairman, Committee of Chairmen of Sector Skills Council of Nigeria. And last but not the least, representatives of OPTS, NCDMB, and of course, NUPRC and IPPG. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these persons are to come on stage to join the President as we do justice to this next item. The signing of the manifesto is a summary of all that has been discussed here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together as they come on stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC. Firstly, I'd like to thank all the delegates, the special guests, the speakers, the panelists, the moderators who have made this Ogtan HCD event 2026 a resounding success. We're extremely proud of what has been achieved over the last 2 days. I remember perhaps some 8 weeks ago when we decided firmly as an executive council to hold this HCD conference on this. Originally, it was 26 to 28, but because we discovered that part of those dates was a public holiday, we decided to move it forward by 1 week. So it became 19th to 21st. So when we decided we're going to have this conference, there were a number of concerns. A number of industry people spoke to me directly and said, Chris, why are you having another conference? Do we need another conference in the industry, considering that we're just seeing the NOG happen? And there were a number of other conferences that were around the corner. So people said, look, we are fed up of these talk shows that we call conferences, of these jamborees, you know, a feel-good type settings or sessions where we just take the buzz that we've actually held this conference. So that was the concern of the industry. But we decided to say, look, we're going to make this different. We're going to have a conference where there will be concrete outputs, concrete deliverables, things that we can track, things that actually create value and add to the field of human capital development. And that was what we planned to do, and that was why we came here. To say, look, at the end of our program, we will not just come up with a long list of, or a communique that said this is the communique that has come out of this conference, but we're going to produce a set of concrete action, a roadmap that defines how we can improve or accelerate human capital development within the oil and gas industry, such that companies operating within the oil and gas industries have people that have been prepared and are ready to meet the challenges of their business in terms of having the requisite knowledge, skills, and the right attitude and behavior that supports performance and productivity. So that was what we set out to do. And all of that has accumulated in this manifesto. This manifesto is a document that summarizes the action items that we are committing to undertake to deliver on the promises we made when we started preparing for this conference. So I'm going to read out this manifesto, which is today developed on the 21st day of August, 2026. And it's a collective undertaking. It's a collective pledge to the industry. So we, on behalf of the regulators, operators, training providers, academia, professional bodies, industry stakeholders, and other participants at the Ogtan HCD Conference 2026, recognize that Nigeria's human capital is central to the growth, competitiveness, and sustainability of its oil and gas industry. We recognize that the industry is changing rapidly through digitization, artificial intelligence, automation, cybersecurity, gas development, energy transition, evolving global standards. We further recognize that human capital development must move beyond compliance and training activity to measurable competence, performance, productivity, and industry outcomes. We therefore commit to strengthening collaboration among regulators, operators, training providers, academia, and other stakeholders to implement the following commitments under the 8 pillars of Ogtan HCD Manifesto. Pillar 1, regulatory compliance under the PIA 2021 and NOGIC Act. We have a set of commitments that we expect from the regulators, and part of it is strengthening regulatory compliance and monitoring. So we expect our regulators to play their role fully in strengthening regulation, compliance, and monitoring. Second is strengthening Nigerian content and indigenous participation. NCDMB commits to continuing its support for Nigerian content development and indigenous participation in the oil and gas industry, including human capital development. The time frame for this is continuous and ongoing, and verification will be made via NCDMB program and outcome reports. And for the operators, operators commit to treating NCDMB as a strategic component of business and project execution rather than solely as a regulatory compliance requirement. Time frame is also to be confirmed, but probably seen as a continuous exercise. And verification will be via operator HCD and project readiness reports. Ogtan and its members commit to strengthening compliance with applicable standards and requirements governing oil and gas training. And this will be a continuous affair. And we will measure this via Ogtan grading and independent third-party audits report. Pillar 2 is demand-side commitments from operators. Regulators commit to working with industry to establish clearer visibility of the workforce competencies required to meet Nigeria's production and energy sector objective. Sometimes training providers are blindsided. We basically train hoping that we're hitting the mark. It's like throwing a stone in the dark and hoping that you hit the target. But they were requesting the regulators to commit to establishing clearer visibility on workforce competencies required to meet operating requirements. And time frame is continuous, and verification will be via published and approved skills demand framework. And for the operators, define the skills that the industry needs. Operators commit to communicating the skills and competencies required by industry, including indispensable roles, emerging roles, roles likely to be affected by technology, and the problems that training should solve. Agreed metrics is agreed industry skills demand framework. Time frame is continuous. Verification will be via skills requirements communicated to training providers. Making HCD a business enablers. Operators commit to aligning HCD with business requirements, identified competency gaps, and execution readiness. Time frame is continuous. Verification will be operator HCD plans and training outcome reports. Strengthening operator-trainer collaboration. This is another critical requirement to ensure that we effectively collaborate in delivering, in bridging the competency gaps that have been identified. OPTS commits to continued support for local capacity development, to working with Ogtan towards a formal partnership and MOU for sustained collaboration. Time frame is continuous or to be confirmed. Signed MOU and implementation report shall be the medium of verification. And for the trainers, training providers commit to designing and delivering training that responds directly to identified industry needs rather than generic training requirements. So what we're saying is that training that we will deliver will be driven strictly by business needs. And those business needs will be determined via a structured and scientific diagnosis or skills identification process that ensures that we're putting our finger on the right pulses. This will be a continuous exercise, and verification will be via quality of curriculum and training outcome assessments. Pillar 3 is closing the technical skills gap. On the regulator side, relevant stakeholders commit to supporting a clear pathway for identifying and closing human capital capacity gaps required to achieve Nigeria industry's objective. The metrics is national and industry skills gap pathways. Time frame is to be confirmed, and verification is via periodic HCD gap assessment. And for the operators, 1, they will map critical skills. Operators commit to identifying and mapping critical skills, particularly those affected by workforce exits. We've heard severally about the baby boomers exit and the feeder stock not being at the appropriate levels. Technology changes, changing operating environment, The metrics is critical skills maps, and the verification process will be via approved skills mapping and workforce planning records. The second requirement of the operators is preserve institutional knowledge. Industry commits to deliberate knowledge transfer from experienced professionals to younger workers, including documentation of critical knowledge before experienced personnel exit. We see a huge outflow of experienced professionals from the industry, and we don't have enough knowledge management processes in place to ensure that we are capturing those tacit knowledge that have made those experienced professionals successful so that we can effectively transfer those knowledge to the younger generation. So what we're saying here is that we will commit to putting in place a process that ensures that we're able to document and capture the knowledge of the existing experienced professionals. And for the trainers, training providers commit to shifting from measuring training activity to measuring demonstrated competency and performance. Training shall incorporate, where appropriate, supervised experience, practical assessment, and post-training evaluation. Time frame will be after each applicable training, this kind of exercise and determination will take place. Verification will be via assessment and post-training evaluation reports. Pillar 4 is energy transition and gas readiness. So for the regulators, the Ministry of State for Petroleum Gas commits to supporting a highly skilled, innovative, and globally competitive petroleum sector workforce capable of responding to the changing energy landscape. The time frame is to be confirmed. The verification shall be via relevant workforce development programs and outcome reports. For the operators, the industry commits to preparing its workforce across 4 emerging frontiers: the technical frontier, renewables integration, gas to power, methane management, and for digital AI operations and digital tools. For commercial, energy economics, carbon markets, and ESG reporting. On the human dimension, adaptive leadership, systems thinking, cross-cultural collaboration. The metrics for measuring this will be training programs mapped to these 4 competency frontiers. Time frame will be continuous or to be confirmed. Verification will be via quality of curricula, participation, and competency assessment. For the trainers, the training providers commit to updating curricula and methodologies to reflect current and emerging industry requirements, including digital technologies, energy transition, and gas sector competencies. The metrics is the number and proportion of relevant programs updated. Time frame to be committed. Verification is via curriculum review records. CNG readiness. Stakeholders recognize the expansion of CNG infrastructure from approximately 7 to 350 refueling centers and commit to supporting the human and institutional capacity requirement to manage this expansion, including availability, accessibility, affordability, quality, and financing. The metrics is yet to be confirmed, time frame to be confirmed. Verification will be via relevant CNG workforce, infrastructure, and quality reports. Pillar 5, trainer standards, certifications, and ATSP. On the regulator's side, relevant regulatory and funding institutions commit to maintaining transparent processes for evaluating training providers and trainers against defined criteria. Time frame is ongoing. Verification processes, evaluation, and procurement reports. On the operator's side, operators commit to demanding quality, relevance, and measurable value for training programs and to support training that produces industry-ready personnel. Time frame to be confirmed, verification, training outcomes, and deployment records. On the trainer side, Ogtan Train the Trainer program. Ogtan commits to developing and rolling out its Train the Trainer programs to strengthen instructional design, adult learning, delivery, digital learning, and other core learning competencies. The time frame will be within the stated couple of months. Couple of months really does not mean anything. We have to put more numbers to these dates. Verification, Ogtan program and certification records. Grading and third-party audits. Ogtan commits to strengthening the quality of its membership through grading and third-party audits. Time frame to be confirmed. Verification will be grading and independent audit reports. Trainer currency. Training institutions commit to maintaining systems that keep trainers current in technical knowledge, industry practice, technology, and learning methodologies. Time frame is ongoing. Verification is institutional. Trainer development records. Funding and co-investments. On the regulators, government, and funding institutions side, protects the purpose of HCD funding. The federal government commits to giving priority to the proper utilization of HCD funding for its intended human capacity development purpose. The minister committed during this program to prioritizing this from now on until the end of his tenure. Time frame from now until the end of the minister's tenure. Verification shall be via the HCD fund utilization reports. Build a co-investment model. PTDF commits to promoting a co-investment approach in which government, industry, academia, and technology partners contribute to workforce development. The metrics is co-investment model and participating partners. Verification is fund agreements and program supports. Support solution-oriented research. PTDF commits to supporting research designed to produce practical solutions and measurable industry outcomes. Time frame is to be confirmed. PTDF Research and Project Outcomes Report. Operators. The conference recognizes operators as significant existing funders of HCD and calls for continued operator investment in human capital development linked to industry outcomes. New measurable operator commitments to be confirmed. Trainers and Ogtan. The conference recognizes the need for sustainable funding beyond dependence on a single funding source. A proposal was made to identify 50 Ogtan members with growth potentials for targeted support. Status currently proposed requires formal Ogtan adoption before becoming a signing commitment. I'd just like to state that in the strategic plan for this new Ogtan ESCO, part of what we recommended, or part of the pillars that was in there, was the Ogtan 50 project, which has exactly this objective, that we will identify the top Ogtan 50 personnel who have potential and who we can support to ramp up capacity within their respective areas. Indigenous training, capacity, and market access. On the regulators side, regulators and industry institutions commit to strengthening the participation and capability of qualified Nigerian companies and training providers in the oil and gas value chain. Time frame to be confirmed. Verification process is Nigerian content and HCD participations and outcome reports. On the operators side, operators commit to supporting local capacity development and increasing opportunities for competent Nigerian personnel and companies to participate in industry work. The conference evidence demonstrated that Nigerian professionals and companies are already successfully executing technical demanding work. Our time frame to be confirmed verification is deployment, project participation, and Nigerian content records. On the trainers side, training providers commit to developing practical, internationally benchmarked capacity capable of supplying competent personnel for Nigerian and the wider African energy market. Time frame to be confirmed, verification, training, certification, and employment/deployment outcomes. Pillar 8, young professionals, host community and inclusion. On the regulator's side, the ministry commits to promoting apprenticeship and graduate development programs as part of the future workforce development ecosystem. Time frame to be confirmed, verification is program and beneficiary record. On the operator side, industry commits to strengthening pathways for young professionals through practical exposure, supervised experience, mentorship, and opportunities for deployment. Time frame to be confirmed, verification is placement, mentoring, and deployment records. Trainers and academia, we have 3 subheaders there, structured mentorship. The conference supports structured mentorship frameworks that engage experienced professionals and veterans in ethics, sustainability, leadership, and technical knowledge transfer. Status, commitment to be confirmed by an adopting institution. Industry-academia collaboration. The ministry, industry, and academia commit to strengthening collaboration so that universities produce industry-ready graduates and curricula reflect current industry requirements. The metrics for measuring this will be updated curriculum, partnerships and industry, and student industry placements to be confirmed. Verification will be via industry-academia partnerships and placement records. Post-community skills development. The conference supports the development of a practical boot camp or practical boot camps and skills program for host communities and indigenous participants to respond to the real-time industry needs. Status, proposed adopting actor, metric, and time frame to be confirmed. Cross-cutting commitment. From training to performance, we commit to changing the way human capital development is conceived, funding, delivered, and measured. Training shall no longer be judged primarily by how many people we have trained, but increasingly by what competencies were created, what performance improved, what industry problem was solved, who was deployed, what value was created, we commit to strengthening post-training evaluation, feedback, competency assessment, and deployment tracking, implementation, verification, and reporting. The commitments contained in this manifesto shall be translated into trackable implementation metrics, identifying for each commitment the following: responsible actor, specific action required, measurable target, delivery milestone, verification method, reporting responsibility, and clearance status. Progress shall be reported through the designated Ogtan HCD accountability mechanism. Review cycle. This manifesto shall be reviewed periodically to assess progress, identify implementation gaps, and agree on collective actions. First review date is to be agreed amongst the stakeholders. Following that, we agree the reviewing body and then the reporting mechanism. However, our resolution is that we recognize that human capacity development is an investment in Nigeria's national production capacity. We commit to building systems where quality is recognized, competence is demonstrated, training responds to industry needs, and investment in people produces measurable industry outcomes. We commit to collaboration between government, regulators, operators, training providers, academia, and the workforce. We commit to developing Nigerians who can compete successfully, not only in Nigeria, but across Africa and the global energy industry. We commit to moving from training to competence, from competence to performance, and from performance to industry growth. This manifesto is the undertaking that will be signed by the stakeholders that have been part of this gathering. So on behalf of Ogtan, I'm going to be signing this manifesto, and I will then invite colleagues from NCDMB, from NUPROC, from OPTS, from the IPPG group, from PTI, and ITF to join me in this undertaking. We also know, or perhaps we should put this here. They can sign, yeah. Yes. Yes, as soon as I sign, we move. Okay, maybe they should sit on with a chair in front of them. So I sign and move to the next person. Yeah. We also realize that there are a number of critical enablers that needs to be in place to ensure that we track this effectively. And one of such critical enablers that we have agreed is the fact that, one, we need a forum of what you call training managers, yeah, or training or learning and development managers, because different organizations call them different names, so that this forum meets on a regular basis to look at the state of HCD from their company perspective and look at it as a whole from an industry perspective. So we as Ogtan are going to lead the formation of this new training managers forum, where we come together maybe once on a quarterly basis to look at HCD issues across the industry. So we will be writing to all the training managers of all the upstream companies to begin the formation and the creation of this training managers forum. It was part of what we should have launched during this meeting, but the process did not go as smoothly as we would love, but we're now going to take it outside of this meeting and engineer it to happen. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I'll now sit down to sign my bit of the program. Yeah.
While that is going on, audio people, please ensure that the national anthem is on cue so we don't spend much time for that. And then other personalities that have been assigned to carry out one function or the other, please be on standby as this aspect is almost been concluded.
Once again, good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We're gradually coming to the end of the program. The signing of the manifesto is still ongoing. A number of representatives have indicated that because of not getting prior clearance from the organization, they are unable to sign right now, which is very much understandable. So what we've decided to do, for those that can sign, they will sign. For those who require to have a copy of the manifesto so they can take it back to the organization and then review it before executing it, that is also fine. We've agreed to make electronic copies of the document available to them so they can sign. So on that note, I'd like to thank all the company representatives here present for your presence and for the commitments that you've demonstrated over the period of this. I particularly like to say a big thank you to Alaji. Alaji is of the PTI. He has been extremely supportive, including being part of the tour this morning on the facility inspection. Thank you very much. So on that note, I'd like to invite back the MC to please take us through the remaining part of the program.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I, as a good Samaritan, inform Mr. President that the documents that you signed have been left under my care. So I am keeping watch over it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before we close the formal recognition of the organizations that made this conference possible, all right. We'd like to invite respectfully, the Vice Chairman of the Ogtan, in person of Engineer Steve Osoha, to please step forward for the vote of thanks. A round of applause for him, please.
Yeah, good day, everyone, and I believe we have enjoyed ourselves. And this is an making occasion, and I believe the vote of thanks is going to lie with what Ogtan Executive have in mind, and I'm going to read it out because of time constraint. All protocols observed. The Honorable Minister for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Hennekin Lububiri, and the Honorable Minister of States for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Right Honorable Ebong Perigwe, ably represented by Mr. Ogidi Oyago, Technical Advisor to the Minister. His Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, Right Honorable Ed Sheriff Francis Oroweto Oberiwere, JP, eminently represented by the Honorable Minister, Honorable Commissioner for Oil and Gas, Honorable Chief Peter Okabwere Ovia Detopo, sorry. Our keynote speakers and the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Engineer Felix Omoshola Owe. The Principal and Chief Executive of the Petroleum Training Institute, Dr. Samuel Onoja, and the entire PTI management. Our President, Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Chris Osaruwense, and our board chairman, Mr. Sam Azuka Enyeche, members of the Board of Trustees and the National Executive Committee, leaders and representatives of NUPRIC, NNPC Limited, NCDMB, PTDF, and our international and indigenous oil company, our facilitators, resource persons, and panelists, head of training institutions, delegates, and participants from across the Federation, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I rise on behalf of the National Executive Committee and the entire members of Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria to give thanks first to God Almighty, whose grace has carried through these 3 days and brought this conference to the successful close. Honorable Minister, your presence at this conference was more than ceremonial. It signaled all the highest level of government that human capital development is not a footnote to the energy transition. It is the foundation of it. We thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion. Your Excellency, the Governor of Delta State, we thank you for hosting us in the big heart of the nation. The hospitality of Warri has been generous, unmistakable, and entirely in character. As we all know, Warri no dey carry last. I hope with Delta State full and unalloyed support that come next year, we may repeat this event in a bigger proportion. To our hosts, the Petroleum Training Institute, and to the principal and chief executive of this great institution, Dr. Samuel Onoja. Thank you, sir, for opening the gate of this historic institution to us. It is fitting that the first conference of this kind in Nigeria should be held here, where the training of this industry began. To our keynote speaker, Engineer Felix Omoshola Ogbe, ably represented by Engineer Abayomi Bamidele, the Executive Director of Capacity Building. We may thank you for a candid and rigorous assessment of state of human capital development in Nigeria oil and gas industry. Your presence did not flatter us, it challenged us. And that is precisely what we needed, because the growth of Ogtan is part of your broad-based agenda in achieving our desired objective. To our dear President, Mr. Chris Osarawanse, and to the Board of the Trustees, thank you for the vision to convene this platform. To the Conference Planning Committee, led by Mrs. Fumi Owe, and to every volunteer, ushers, technicians, and members of the Secretariat who work long after the halls empty each evening. The seamlessness of these 3 days was not an accident. It was your labor. We see it and we thank you. We are grateful to the partners and sponsors whose commitment made this conference possible. Now I have to reel out the sponsors, headline sponsors, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and Well Services Training, as well as NNPC. Strategic partners, the Petroleum Training Institute, which is PTI, and the platinum sponsors, Clean African Response and ND Western, as well as First EMP. Gold sponsors, OISA, PMC Success International, Jack Riley Limited, Nexus Alliance, and Western Diamond. And the institutional sponsors, which is NCDMB, PTDF, and the rest. You do not merely fund an event, you invested in the competence of a nation workforce, and the event will outlive this hall. To our delegate and participant who travel from Port Harcourt, Lagos, and Warri, Abuja, and beyond, thank you for your attention. Your hard questions and the conversation held in this corridor that we are sometimes as valuable as those held in the podium. This conference was about you, the trainers who shaped the next generation of oil and gas professionals. And to our friends in the media, thank you for carrying this message beyond this world. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we live here with a clear consensus. Competence, certification, and collaboration are the instrument through which Nigeria will deliver a local content and secure energy future. The communique and resolution of this conference will be circulated to all members and stakeholders in due course. As we depart, I pray God to grant us all the journey mercies to our various destinations. Once again, on behalf of Ogtan, I say big thank you. May God bless you all, and may God bless Oil and Gas Trainers Association. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, VP. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we apologize before we call on the President to give his closing remark. I'd like to respectfully invite him here. Somebody has been awarding us, not degree this time, but awarding us, based on their performances. And we inadvertently forgot about it. And it's imperative that we do that just before we step out from here. To this end, I'd like to invite the President, alongside with the Vice and the Secretary, if the Secretary is still around, to please come make this presentation led by the President to the workaholic woman who has her performance. There's a way a woman performs, and then you no longer call her a woman, you call her a she-man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Fumi Obue. Let's give it up for her. You can see now, you see, even the ladies, now they even come. But why would they call men here now? We no see, Where's the other mic, please? This one is not...
I thought I should say something before presenting this to her, because this is, for me, one of the highlights of this conference. We all cannot truly appreciate how much work Fumi has put into making this event the kind of success that we see this evening. It has been almost all-consuming. I know how much time she's had to dedicate to this particular program. I know how much sacrifice she's made. I know how many phone calls. We did not buy data for you, did we? How many phone calls she's had to make, including when she was on holiday, to ensure that we're on track to achieving the kind of results we are seeing today. And don't forget, we also had very limited time to get this done. So for me, I want to thank you for the capacity they've demonstrated. And they said the reward for good work is what? More work. So we have completely unopposed the next chairperson for the working committee. To just tell you of our appreciation and to tell you that we truly appreciate your contribution and all you've done with your team. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Teamwork. Honestly, we have to get the, they say MVP, most valuable players. Please, let's get everyone back that's made this successful. I couldn't have done it alone. Thank you very much on behalf of the team that have worked tirelessly. We know ourselves. Those of us that won't sleep will be calling, talking, being at midnight. So please, let's have everyone that has contributed to this back on stage. You know yourself. You know yourselves, including those that I reported. They reported me back. Kachi. Kachi, you're sitting there.
Darlington.
Where is that?
Anybody with useful information as to the whereabouts of Darlington should not report to the police station, but report
house,
to me.
I think by now, Darlington is my husband. The number of times I speak to him every day. Where is he? He even, just to show you how, just to show you the way Darlington was just so happy that today had come. See his dressing. He had to show us that he has received freedom today. Thank you very much, you guys. I really appreciate your support, for trusting me to lead you, and for contributing to making this happen. Thank you. And thank you, President, for putting your faith in us. Honestly, I don't know how President slept.
with this team. Honestly, even on a cruise, we're harassing him. President, please, we need your help. Sign this, look at that. Thank you so much.
Hello. We have two more small activities, closing remark and the closing prayers. Yeah? For me as president, I think we've said a lot today. Today is a very interesting and very fulfilling day for me. And that's simply because of the way this whole conference has unfolded. All I can do at this stage is to say thank you to everyone who has contributed to the success of this program. And for those delegates that have been here, without you, we would have had no conference. We thank the delegates for coming. We thank you for the questions you've asked. We thank you for keeping to time. And we look forward to you honoring our invitations again next year. And above all, we want to thank our partners, our sponsors, our hosts, who have all contributed to the hosting of this program. Thank you and God bless. And safe trip to your various places of abode. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please may we rise for the closing prayer. And immediately after the closing prayer, we'll take the national anthem. To do the closing prayer, I'd like to invite a man whom God has been using, and is still using him, all the way from Port Harcourt, talking about the chairman of Port Harcourt branch. Yes, Apostle. Let's put our hands together for him, please.
Okay, let's pray. In Jesus' name. Father, we thank you for the Ogtan HCD Conference 2026. We thank you for safe journey to, and as we go, you're going to lead us home safely. We thank you for a wonderful weather throughout this period. That
Daddy, we thank you for all the sessions. We just want to say thank you, Father. To you be all the glory, to you be all the honor and all the adoration in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
National anthem, please. The national anthem.
New nation.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. Oh God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Thank you very much once again. Thank you for coming. We'd like to appreciate